Bob here, Chopper Bob Customs, with another installment of the 5723 window Volkswagen bus. I was talking to the owner of the bus about what we needed to do about this panel right here. This is the original battery tray for the vehicle, and what happened was the battery blew up or it overcharged or what have you. All of this area in here got soaked with battery acid, and it basically melted it away. It's in really bad shape in through here. This panel right here is what the battery actually sits on, and I was explaining to him that I could duplicate this part out of sheet metal with what was left of the indentations of the battery tray and the physical dimensions of the battery tray. I could make a new one, but there was something on the battery tray in the photographs that I saw that I didn't quite understand, and there wasn't enough left here to really determine how it was supposed to work. And so I asked him if he had some photographs or something of what the battery tray was supposed to look like. Turns out it was the battery hold down. What he did was he sent me a photograph, and he says here, he says, could you use this and install it in the vehicle? And so this is an original Volkswagen bus battery tray from a vehicle. He doesn't even remember where he got it, but it's in pretty good shape. And so we're going to go ahead and use this on this bus as best we can. I'm probably going to have to add to it up in this area right here to make it fit, because the rust is so bad on the original floor, but that's okay. This was the part right here that I really didn't quite understand from the photographs I saw, and it had been so long since I'd seen one in good shape, I wasn't exactly sure what it was. It's actually fairly simple. It's just a flat piece of steel with a rolled hoop on the top of it here, and the battery strap basically hooks underneath of that and then goes up over the battery and bolts down over here. But if we have the original panel like this is going to be far superior to anything that I can build for the car. So we're going to go ahead and use that. So today, what I'm going to be doing is getting this further prepped to install the replacement panel right here. And so to that end, what I'll be doing today, it's about right there is how high it is. I'm going to be cutting out this back over in here. I think what I'm going to do, this right here is solid enough. I need to put in a repair piece right in here, so I have some place to rosette weld to. And then I'm going to be cutting this out, and I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting the panel out and dropping that out of the way so that I can start getting ready to actually fit the replacement panel in here. So I'm going to move the camera so you can see what I'm going to be doing over here on this part, and we'll go from there. Alright, I'm going to move this panel first. Now, I don't know whether you can see this or not, but when they cut this out, this is actually right here, it's about a 1-inch wide strip, and it's probably about 7 inches long of the floor extension, the one that comes over from the engine over to this side of the car. I'll have to remove this, but when I'm cutting, I'm going to try and leave this in the floor extension that's in there. I don't know how good a shape it's in, but if I can salvage it, it'll make life a lot easier on getting this welded in. If not, like I said, I'll have to extend this out to reach a little bit further on the floor. The truth of the matter is that floor extension is in pretty bad shape all the way across. The battery acid is just basically eaten it up. Actually, farther forward, there's a hole in it. And the owner and I have talked about it, and here again, the vehicle's got a lot of holes in it to begin with, and he is going to be driving it as a beater, which is perfectly okay with me. Normally I wouldn't feel good about doing it this way, but based on the use of the vehicle and like I said, he's gonna drive it. So we're gonna go ahead and get this chopped out of here. Hey! What's you up to?
Oh, just trying to get caught up on things.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
All that fun metal work.
Oh, shoot.
Steve Rogers bought himself another car.
What did he buy?
I'm not as good on Mopars as I am on GM products, but it looks like a 66, maybe 65 Belvedere Corvette, something like that. What do they call that? A B body?
Yeah, that's
it's
the B-body.
Yeah. And the guy was running it in a bracket car. It's got a bunch of stuff in it.
Yeah.
And the body's not bad, but he doesn't want it to be a show quality car, but he wants to fix some of the stuff in the off season.
Yeah.
So he might call you.
I'm gonna drill these spot welds. The reason I didn't drill the spot welds on the car is for a couple of reasons. One is they were not very well defined because of all the pits from the rust. And two, the metal in there is fragile in places and I didn't want the drill to grab and destroy what's in there. But these are very well defined. this vehicle is like, okay, if you're gonna cut, where are you gonna stop cutting? And everywhere I look, the next piece of metal I see has something that needs to be done, and we've got to keep focused on what the goal here is to get this corner basically sealed up so that he can make this trip that he wants to make to Pikes Peak. We understand that the vehicle's not going to be perfect, but we need to have it held together solidly. And basically this metal, when I just ground it down there to get some of the scale off of it, it's actually pretty strong right back in here. But then you go a little bit further into the corner where, of course, there was stress when it was manufactured because they put a break in it. Back in there, there's a hole that developed. So, but basically the metal's good all around it, but to try and patch that hole would be next to impossible. So basically I'm just going to go ahead and continue cleaning this up, and I am going to make a piece to fit in here so that I have a good solid top to bottom. So I've got a piece that I'm going to make 5 inches long and 1 inch wide. And yes, a throatless shear would make this a lot easier. It's on my Christmas list. Except I don't know where I'd put it, so a bigger shop is on my Christmas list too. Just to the brake, put a 90 in it, I'll be right back. Brake did 2 things, put a nice little 90 in it, and it flattened it right out. So what I'm going to do now is put just a little bit of a curve in it till it matches. That may have been just about enough. It didn't take much. And I'm kind of guesstimating about where this is going to be in this part. And that's actually pretty good right there, and I think that's about where it's going to be. So I'm going to call that good. Go back over to the vehicle. so what I've got is I've got this bottom one is clamped with a pair of vice grips holding this piece right here in direct line with the piece that was cut out. Up at the top, I've got a piece of 18 gauge scrap sandwiched in between a piece of 18 gauge scrap and the body of the van and the piece that I'm adding in. The idea being is that 18 gauge piece of scrap on the inside is spacing the new piece back enough so that you've got 18 gauge thickness between the surface of the body and the surface of the part that it's mounting on. So hopefully when it's all put together, the replacement panel will mount up flush to it. I've got the 4 holes punched. I've got weld through primer on it. And now all I got to do is hope that this metal that I'm welding to is going to be solid enough to not just disappear when I hit the torch. I've got the torch basically set with a high wire speed and the voltage is set where it should be for 18 gauge. So, and I'm using slightly larger wire, which will also take power away from the metal itself. I got a fresh cover on my welding hood, and I've got a brand new set of cheaters in it. I've gone up another 1/4 point. I'm at 2 1/2 on my cheaters, so hopefully I'll be able to see. And beyond that, there's no time like the present. Okay, normally I would take and run a weld bead across there to tie these two pieces together, but this steel that's been damaged by the sulfuric acid and then rusted with pits in it, it is just not, it just kind of disappears when you hit it with the MIG, even the stuff that I thought was thick enough to get away with it. But the thing is, for what I'm doing, again, that right there is in there solid, and it'll hold that panel to keep it from vibrating, and hopefully this will give it a few years of extra life. So the next thing I need to do is get prepped for putting the floor piece in. not exactly sure I'm gonna be able to punch this. It's twice thick. But we'll give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? And I'm gonna have to crawl underneath the vehicle to put those in anyway. I'm not gonna weld these right now. I'm gonna go ahead and paint them and punch the holes in them, but I'm gonna wait until I actually get the outer panel, and there's a little piece of like mud shield that goes down below this. And we'll see, but what I will do now is I'll go ahead and make sure I get these holes punched and these holes punched right in through here. I'm debating as to whether I want to put one on here. I may put one in here if I can get the punch in there. It may not fit. Let's give her some holes. We'll go with some holes. I don't think I'm going to go quite as close together as Volkswagen did. And I'm thinking there's some of this steel on the vehicle that's just gonna disappear when I go to hit it. Gonna stop the camera. I've got to take this piece off of here. Apparently when they took it out of the original car, it looks like they must have sawn it on that line right there. So I need to remove that piece of metal. I can't get in there and punch the holes. So I'm going to shut the camera off for right now. See if I can't get that piece off, and then I'll come back. See?
You know what talks his grandchildren, isn't she? I'll put your phone on the Amsoil thing here. Okay. Hello. Hey, I'm just trying to get you. Well, because I've got no phone, it's Bob's phone next door. I've got a new iPhone and it's going to take 2.5 hours to load. Yeah. Or maybe more. It says, it just said 2 days. I've got 50 gigabytes of stuff. Yeah.
Going handheld. So they're not pretty, but this stuff, well, I think part of the problem is that my helmet wasn't darkening. Apparently I was blocking the sensor with the body of the vehicle because it wasn't really darkening. So I'll blame it on that and the quality of the steel and the weld-through primer. It was just horrible. Some of them came out fairly decent. Let me get around here to where, of course, once they're ground, they're not in bad shape at all. Okay, so what I've got to do is I'm going to have to come in here and put a patch into this section right in here because there is a hole right there, and that steel is really in bad shape too. So But basically that has the mount for the bodywork. I'm ready to I'll probably go ahead and do this patch and then fit the replacement panel. And this corners, we're getting close to being done. I got a lot of welding obviously to do on the replacement panel. Got some cutting to do. Time to do some cutting. That's it for today. I'm going to hook the battery back up and clean up the mess a little bit and back this back to where I've got it stored and call it a day. And we'll live to fight another day. Chopper Bob out.